This is NTV.
A very good afternoon to you. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. Thanks for joining us on NTV at 1. The Senate is this afternoon expected to debate on whether impeached Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru will be tried through a committee or a plenary session. The debate follows a statement issued by Senate Majority Whip Irungu Kangata, who said that the House Business Committee had resolved to try the governor in a committee as opposed to a plenary hearing. Waiguru was impeached by MCAs who have accused her of incompetence, gross violation of the Constitution, abuse of office and misuse of public funds. Our reporter Silas Apollo is keeping tabs on this story and he brings us up to date. Silas, what can you tell us?
Yes, rightly as you've said, what we expect today is whether the Senate is actually going to listen to Anne Waiguru, the allegations that were raised against Governor Anne Waiguru through a committee session or through the plenary hearing. A lot of concerns have been raised, especially from leaders from Kirinyaga County, a majority of who have said that they want the governor to be heard through a plenary session, because they say that a plenary session would allow people of Kirinyaga County, not just Kirinyaga County alone, but people across the Republic to see what exactly is happening, to allow the MCAs who raised allegations against Governor Anne Waiguru to be heard impartially. Of course, to also allow senators who they say represent all the 47 counties to also interrogate the issues that have been raised against the county boss. That was the stand that was given by the leaders from Kirinyaga County, including the senator and a number of MPs. The MCAs have also raised the same concern. They're saying that this should be done the way former governor of Kiambu, Ferdinand Waititu, was tried, because it was taken through a plenary session. But of course, there are those who've voted and those who've advocated for the committee session. They're saying that it's important to have the governor taken through a hearing or a session where there's a select committee of members who then will interrogate these issues that have been raised against the governor in details and look at what are the accusations, are the allegations true, do the allegations stand or not? And then after that, then they'll come up with a report which will then be tabled before the Senate. Then the Senate will either accept or reject the report. But for those who are calling for a plenary session, are saying that going the committee way also has a bit of demerits, and one of the demerits is that a number of committee members could be compromised, because then the committee has a small number vis-a-vis having a whole plenary session where it's not easy to compromise 47 senators from the 47 counties and an additional nominated senator. So it's a discussion that we expect the House to have today in the afternoon, whether they're going to go the plenary session or the committee session. Of course, Senate Majority Whip Irungu Kangata had made clear what the House Business Committee had proposed, and that is they want to go the committee way. So we expect a lot of discussions today. What we still don't know is whether the committee will be the way or the plenary session, but it's an update that we'll be keeping just to give you a better update in the subsequent bulletin. But for now, back to you, Studio Smriti.
Right, Silas, thanks very much. NTV's Silas Apollo there, coming to us live in Nairobi. And we will get more from Silas and that story, as he said, in our later bulletins. Well, Anne Waiguru could be the proverbial cat with 9 lives. The powerful lady, who was once said to be a super minister before asking for lighter duties, is a survivor par excellence. From the moment she took up the Ministry of Devolution posting to her election as the second governor of Kirinyaga County, Waiguru has won one battle after another. Ken Mijungu looks back at some of her biggest battles.
The first major battle Anne Waiguru won was after she was accused of being behind the 791 million shilling NYS scandal. Waiguru was never prosecuted for the alleged crimes. Instead, then Principal Secretaries Engineer Peter Mangiti and Lilian Omolo are in court. Waiguru claimed she blew the whistle on the loot.
So for me, I can only take action for the officers who are in my ministry.
She'll then be investigated by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, but not surprisingly, she was never taken to court. In fact, Waiguru is quoted several times using the lack of enough evidence that could be used against her by the EACC as being cleared of any wrongdoing. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission had to distance itself from the claims that it cleared the former Devolution Cabinet Secretary over the 791 million shilling National Youth Service tender scandal. At the time, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission chairperson Philip Kinisu said the matter was being investigated by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, which failed to supply them with clear information about the matter. Because of the NYS scandal, Waiguru will enter into a new battlefront with ODM leader Raila Odinga.
Maana yake walikuwa wameiba zaidi ya shilingi bilioni 1. Mimi nimesema kama anasema nimesema muongo, wanipeleka kotini.
Waiguru took Odinga to court for alleged defamation, accusing him of recklessly maligning her name and demanding a public apology. But Odinga's lawyers instead asked her to respond to, among other things, her net worth. Raila refused to apologize or even withdraw his statement. They later reconciled and Waiguru trooped to Capitol Hill where they had a handshake. They have now become friends, enjoying each other's company in the Building Bridges Initiative rallies. Before she resigned and asked for lighter duties in 2015, Waiguru caused a spectacle in Parliament as different factions in the Public Accounts Committee fought in the chambers before live cameras. The committee meeting was questioning the then Devolution Cabinet Secretary over late procurement irregularities at the National Youth Service, and it degenerated into a shouting match between the members of Parliament from the two main coalitions. The Public Accounts Committee recommended an investigation and lifestyle audit of the first-time governor, but it did not get hold of the cabinet decision on the NYS-approved expenditure despite its immense powers to get evidence and even summon. Eventually, she would leave to yet another battle with NARC Kenya party leader Martha Karua over a disputed gubernatorial election. Karua had moved to the Court of Appeal a week after Kerugoya High Court dismissed a petition challenging the election of Governor Waiguru. This case would end at the Supreme Court, where she triumphed.
That some people have decided to use politics as a way to distract the actual fight against corruption.
If she loses the battle to stay as the governor of Kirinyaga in the Senate, it could be the second major setback after her untimely exit from the devolution ministry. If she wins this, it will be just another feather in her cup of triumph. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
All right, well, let's see how it goes for Anne Waiguru. Elsewhere, 40 drums of chemicals suspected to have been ethanol have been intercepted along the Nairobi-Maimahiu road. Security officers manning a roadblock barrier at Mutarakwa stopped a lorry carrying the drums, which was heading to Nairobi from Gilgil. The lorry's driver has been arrested and is aiding police with investigations, according to the Kiambu County Police Commander Ali Nuno. The driver failed to produce any documentations to support what he was transporting, and Nuno said that several people are taking advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic and engaging in the transportation of illegal goods. Well, despite complaints by Limuru residents about the roadblock at Rironi, the commander said another one will be erected.
The roadblocks are very effective, and I want to ask Kenyans just to understand why these roadblocks are there and why there is the cessation. Therefore, they should work from home. Let them be at home until the curfew and the COVID-19 guidelines will be over.
Now, 17 health workers, among them a nurse, have been put in isolation in Murang'a after one of them tested positive for the coronavirus. The nurse is believed to have contracted the virus as she attended to an 82-year-old patient at a private hospital. This as COVID-19 cases continue to be reported in various parts of Murang'a County. Martin Mara reports.
According to the County Executive Officer for Health, Joseph Mbai, the 82-year-old man had gone to seek treatment at the facility, and when tested for coronavirus, his results were positive. Mbai said the nurse that attended to him has been put in isolation and the process of contact tracing has begun.
The latest case is a contact from the one that was admitted at hospital in Keno, and after contact tracing and testing, we found one who is a medic who has tested positive and has already been taken to isolation. And we are also now tracing more contacts that could have met with the patient.
This brings the total number of corona patients to 3, and all cases are being managed locally.
We are ready for more numbers just in case they happen. We pray God they don't, but in case they have, then we are also ready. If anyone gets sick, they will not be transferred to Nairobi or Thika or wherever. We shall deal with our COVID cases here in Murang'a. The only thing I request Murang'a residents, kindly, don't stop wearing masks, don't stop washing your hands, don't stop social distance.
The cases are spread in Kenol, Kamahoha and Murang'a town, and residents have been warned to be cautious.
The people who are living in those areas now, they need to be alert. And I also want to make an appeal to everyone else who is living in Murang'a County to be also alert, because you see the level of contamination, you cannot know to what extent. But as a ministry, with the leadership of our governor, Mwangu area, we are working very hard, and we are also making sure that we take care of our people. No.
Mbai also said the health workers are constantly being supplied with protective gears to enhance their safety. Martin Mora, NTV, Murang'a County.
Now, more than 700 families in Dalale Kutuk ward in Kajiado County are set to benefit from a mega water project after years of struggling to access the basic commodity. The locals are set to be empowered to start irrigation farming in the area in order to also tackle the problem of food shortage.
These families in Olontulugum village in Dalale Kutuk ward have had to travel long distances to fetch water for their domestic use. But now they can access fresh water for various use after a mega water project was launched in the area. The solar-powered Olontulugum water project is integrated for livestock use, domestic use and irrigation. While commissioning the project, Kajiado Governor Joseph Olelenku urged the local community to take advantage of the reliable supply of water to start farming projects.
Mradi huu itasaidia kubadilisha maisha yenu kiuchumi, aidha kwa mambo ya chakula ama kwa mambo ya ufugaji na hata afya wananchi, kwa sababu tunajua mahali maji iko, afya inaboreshwa kwa sababu ya usafi.
Haya maji tulikuwa tunaenda kuyachukua kwa karibu kilomita 5 mpaka 6, lakini sasa hivi tumepata maji kwa kilomita kama 1 hivi, na wale wakazi ambao wako mbali ni kama kilomita 2. Hivyo tunashukuru zaidi. Maji haya tutayatumia katika kilimo na mambo mengi ya mifugo.
Dalale Kutuk ward is among the dry areas of Kajiado Central Sub-County and experiences a perennial water shortage. Locals have lauded the project and hailed it as timely, allowing them to maintain hygiene in the wake of COVID-19. Nayoma Sampao, NTV.
There will be a reshuffle of top security officials in Nyandarua County and a special crime prevention team deployed to help fight the rising cases of insecurity in the region. According to the Interior Cabinet Secretary, the team, assembled by the Inspector General of Police, will help tame the rising cases of murder and cattle rustling in the region. Accompanied by leaders from the area, the CS said that individuals behind the cattle theft are supported and funded by cartels benefiting from the trend. Matiang'i has instructed chiefs to collaborate with religious leaders to reverse the trend of the rising cases of gender-based violence in the county. Police data indicates that about 9 people, most of them women, have been murdered in 6 months.
Kuanzia sasa mpaka hiyo maneno imalizike, yeyote ambaye atahusika na hiyo maneno, awe mtu wetu chief, awe assistant chief, awe nani, tutapelekana na wewe mpaka tuhakikishe kwamba we have sorted this problem out. This is organized crime. Let's not pretend kuambiana hapa it is cattle rustling, cattle theft and so on. And we are not going to be in a country where ordinary farmers, our wakulima hapa ambao wanauza maziwa, are not going to sleep because of our weakness. We have tolerated some funny people around here who are engaged in systematic crime. They are stealing livestock from people and slaughtering the livestock, selling meat here, taking some of the meat to Nairobi and so on. We will put down a crack team here, tumekubaliana na IG, and that team will be on the ground until we have caught the last of those characters.
An ambitious 3.5 billion shilling resettlement plan for residents in the flood-prone Tana Delta sub-county is facing challenges after ranch owners and local leaders opposed the plan. Tana River County Governor Dado Godana says the program will be a long-lasting solution to the flooding, as the clusters will be set up on higher ground several kilometers from River Tana. His administration has already begun work on 43 cluster villages, and he toured the area with the Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa, who lauded the program. But ranch owners and local leaders have opposed the plan, saying they were not consulted. Gausen Central MCA Masha Boru said the cluster village plan was not tabled at the Tana River County Assembly or even taken for public participation. Hence, it's illegal.
Kutumia teknolojia ya kisasa, wanapima kujua sehemu hii ni sehemu ya maji, yani inaitwa flood prone areas. Sehemu hii hata maji mvua inyeshe vipi, maji hayatafika pale. Na kule Tana River wametengeza village clusters, kujenga nyumba sehemu ya juu, lakini kusaidia familia waendelee kuwa na shamba yao sehemu za chini.
Governor pia akitaka kitu ifanyike lazima county assembly ipitishe. Na kwanza ifanywe public participation ambayo iko kwa sheria. No public participation. So ni kitu gani anafanya hiyo? Ni hewa ya kujaribu kugonganisha wananchi ndio afufue siasa yake.
All right, from that we take a quick break on NTV at 1. Stay with us. I'll be back with more.
Sonadol Extra imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli kupambana haraka na maumivu ya kichwa, mwili na hata meno. Sonadol Extra, hakika maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Oya cheki, kuna vile sasa muziki manze, kuna vile inajipa manze, yani na cheki haimaanishi tu tunajibamba, yani very regular.
Kitu ya muhimu kwanza ni kujua hali yako ya status ya HIV.
Kwa hapa hivi tuwapeleke na rieng, tujue venye manzi tutasaidiana, si kama vijana. Na kama unaogopa kwenda pale hivi kwa clinic, unaweza pitia pale hivi kwa chemist ya mtaa, uitishe a self test kit na wanauza 500 bob only. Unajitestia tu mtaani, unajua hali yako.
Manze na ukiweza patikana nayo, yani uko positive manze, usiogope. Kuna madawa yani jo, kuna counseling manze, unaweza kula fit yani, alafu unaweza piga bado ma exercise kiasi hivi. Na kama nyewe manze ukiweza patikana yani hauna manze, usiasi tu unaenda kutafuta tena.
Cheki. Ukiweza abstain.
Lakini maji yakizidi unga,
wrap it before you tap it.
La bila gloves haiwezi. Rieng kujua.
Unapoendelea kujikinga kutokana na HIV, tafadhali zingatia taratibu zote za serikali za kujikinga na virusi vya corona.
Afya bora, maisha bora. Jipime, jiinue.
Sending money has never been this easy. All you need to do is log into your bank's mobile app or USSD menu. Select the PesaLink option in your bank's menu. Select Send to Account. Enter the recipient account number. Enter the amount you want to send. Enter the reason for payment. Confirm the details of the transaction. After confirming, you will receive a confirmation notification via text. PesaLink. Easy, affordable, instant. Anytime, anywhere.
Tukifunga makanisa ni kama kumwambia Mungu tumeondoka.
We do not want to preach about the kingdom of God and contract viruses which you kill them.
Amri ya Nabii Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ni kwamba ikiwa kuna ugonjwa mahala, aliyoko ndani ya mji ule asitoke na aliyoko nje asiingie.
The Ministries of Interior and Health will constitute an interfaith council to work out modalities of reopening of our places of worship.
Tunapopata nafasi ya kurudi kumwabudu Mungu tena, ni nafasi pia ya kumwambia Mungu janga hili lisije likatupata kwa njia kubwa zaidi.
Tell us how to engage and how to deal with individuals who are reckless.
Welcome back. Shareholders of electricity distributor Kenya Power should expect the company's revenue for the year ended June 2020 to be lower than that for the period ended June 2019. This is according to the cautionary statement issued by the company this morning, which cites an adverse business environment owing to COVID-19. Kenya Power reported a net profit of 262 million shillings in the year ended June 2019, a 91% decline from the net earnings reported in the same period back in 2018. The Kenya Power share price closed Monday's trade at 2 shillings and 37 cents, having lost 21% of its value since the start of the year. Well, to better news, the Banga For Good initiative, introduced to help needy Kenyans cope with the COVID-19 pandemic, has seen Kenyans redeem Banga points worth at least 330 million shillings. This means that at least 1 billion Banga points have been redeemed over the last 2 months under the initiative, which came to a close on June 4th, 2020. Under the initiative, an estimated 600,000 Kenyans redeemed Banga points to help the vulnerable cope with the adverse effects of the pandemic. Safaricom CEO Peter Ndegwa says Kenyans can continue redeeming Banga points at over 140,000 Lipa na M-Pesa merchants countrywide at 20 cents per point. Now, private sector players, including Base Titanium, Centum, Gulf Energy and Stanbic Bank, will be handing over 192 ventilators to the Ministry of Health in an effort to boost the fight against COVID-19. The ventilators arrived in Nairobi on Monday morning and will be distributed across different health facilities by the Ministry of Health. Speaking on behalf of the partners, Stanbic Bank CEO Charles Mudiwa said the private sector is committed to ensuring Kenya combats COVID-19 and puts the economy back in shape. The donation is a shot in the arm for the COVID-19 Emergency Fund, which is managed by the National Treasury. And the government can reach more Kenyans if they partner with private health facilities in the fight against the coronavirus. According to private health practitioners, the collaboration should start from testing. The health practitioners say most of the private health facilities have upgraded their facilities to cater for the growing demands of the pandemic. Some facilities have installed sanitation booths and thermal cameras and screens at entrances, with others offering free tests to inpatients in a bid to ensure safety of their medics and patients. The private health facilities are now urging the government to ensure that testing kits are affordable to all Kenyans. One person has died and 2 others have been seriously injured after a head-on collision involving a pickup and a truck on Tigoni Road in Limuru. According to witnesses, the pickup was overtaking while speeding and ran into the truck, which was heading in the opposite direction. Area residents say that several accidents have occurred on Tigoni Road and many deaths have been recorded. Drivers using the road have been urged to exercise caution, and residents have urged the government to construct bumps.
Tumekuwa tukiona hizi maajali hata usiku, kama umelala unasikia tu magari zingine zina skid, zingine unasikia zimeingia kwa mitaro. So we urge all the drivers to be cautious. Juu barabara si kubwa sana. Bumps naweza omba Kenha wafuatilie watuongeze bumps kwa hii barabara.
The World Health Organization Director General has urged countries in the Southern Hemisphere to retain influenza as a top priority amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. The WHO Director General has warned that the two could overwhelm healthcare systems. This comes as WHO raised concern over the fresh COVID-19 outbreak in Beijing, China.
The WHO has urged countries in the Southern Hemisphere to look out for the influenza season, even as they focus on COVID-19.
As we enter the Southern Hemisphere influenza season and begin planning for the Northern Hemisphere season, we must ensure that influenza remains a top priority. Co-circulation of COVID-19 and influenza can worsen the impact on healthcare systems that are already overwhelmed.
The novel coronavirus has killed at least 433,000 people and infected more than 7.9 million since it first emerged in China last December. More than 100 cases have been officially recorded in a fresh outbreak in Beijing. The UN Health Agency says it understands no new deaths have been reported thus far in the Chinese capital, but adds that given Beijing's size and connectivity, the outbreak is a cause for concern.
Beijing is a large city and a very dynamic and connected city, so there's always a concern. And I think you can see that level of concern in the response of the Chinese authorities. We are tracking that very closely.
My understanding is that there are no deaths associated so far, but of course, as Mike has said, we will monitor the situation as we do in all countries.
As China deals with the fresh outbreaks, lockdown restrictions continue to ease, with countries in Europe lifting their borders. The WHO has warned countries to stay on alert for a possible resurgence of COVID-19 infections.
Still on the international front, a Sudanese militia leader denied charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity over the Darfur conflict in his first appearance before the International Criminal Court on Monday. Ali Kushayab was formally told of the more than 50 charges against him as he appeared by video link from a detention center in The Hague due to the coronavirus measures. The 70-year-old turned himself in earlier this month in the Central African Republic after 13 years on the run, stemming from allegations relating to the devastating conflict in the Western Sudanese region. The Darfur conflict broke out back in 2003 when ethnic African rebels who complained of systematic discrimination took up arms against the government of longtime dictator Omar al-Bashir. The United Nations says the conflict killed 300,000 people and displaced 2.5 million.
Mr. Abdel Rahman. Of Mr. Ar-Rahman will not be therefore discussed.
Elsewhere, a Swedish inventor has created a corona hat. The one-of-a-kind hat sounds alarm when others approach too close. Artist and inventor Hakan Libdo demonstrated his corona hat, a helmet that he made with a reverse sensor, a battery from a robot Hoover, and a globe that he found in his garage that sounds a loud alarm whenever anything comes within 1.5 meters of the wearer to remind them to keep distance to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Lidbo, who is also a musician, does not plan for the hat to be used generally or to produce the hat commercially, and does not wear it outdoors in Stockholm where he works. But he says that when he has tested it, the piercing beeps remind passers-by to keep their distance. From that, it's time for the sports news with Brian Otwell. Over to you, Brian.
Thank you so much, Smriti. And we start from England, where the Premier League returns on Wednesday after 100 days in the deep freeze, with Liverpool on the brink of winning the title in a radically changed football universe. The English top flight follows Germany's Bundesliga and La Liga in Spain in rebooting their seasons after the coronavirus lockdown, aiming to cram 92 games into 6 weeks of breathless action. Aston Villa kick off against Sheffield United, to be followed later on Wednesday by Manchester City taking on Arsenal before a cascade of matches. Peeping a crowd chants into stadiums, cardboard cutouts of supporters and live video fan walls will add color, but it will be impossible to mimic the usual vibrant atmosphere. In total, about 300 people will be allowed into the stadiums for each match, with strict health protocols in place. People other than players and coaching staff on team benches must wear face coverings. And the thousands of coronavirus tests that have enabled the Premier League to return this week have an unlikely source, a little-known startup in Hong Kong. Prenetics Circle DNA is playing a key role in rebooting the world's most popular football league after landing a £4 million contract to screen its players and staff. The company has set up stations at each of the Premier League 20 clubs, carrying out testing twice a week using partner laboratories in Britain in the run-up to Wednesday's return to play. So far, 8,687 deep throat and nostril swab tests have turned up 16 cases, with Tottenham Hotspur's, Norwich City, Bournemouth, Watford and Burnley all revealing positive results. Premier League resumes on Wednesday with Aston Villa facing Sheffield United, while Manchester City play Arsenal. And as football around Europe returns after a long suspension, UEFA is set to announce the format for the later stages of the Champions League at a key meeting on Wednesday, which will also raise the thorny issue of the postponed Pan-Continental Euro 2020. The Champions League was frozen in mid-March before the last 16 stage had been completed as the sport ground to a halt when the coronavirus pandemic began to take hold. Initially, European football's governing body had hoped to finish its flagship competition along with the Europa and Women's Champions League by end of June. It soon became clear that such an outcome was overly optimistic, and during the peak of the pandemic in Europe, any prospect of finishing the season at all looked slim. Nevertheless, UEFA has for some time been working on a way of completing its season in August, which looks feasible as leagues continue. And Qatar inaugurated its latest new World Cup stadium on Monday, not with a sold-out football fixture, but with a socially distanced tribute to the workers on the front line of the fight against coronavirus. It was interspersed with images of medical professionals and other frontline workers who made their way through the 40,000 capacity ground. Education City is the second of the 7 stadiums being built from scratch for the 2022. WRC is weighing several plans for a September return from its shutdown, and the president of FIA, that is Jean Todt, reported that, saying he was speaking at his first in a series of conferences of the future of motorsport organized by FIA. The number of races, their dates and host countries will be announced at a later date. The first 3 rounds of the season were held between January and mid-March. 7 rounds, including the Argentina and Italy rallies, have been postponed, with Kenya's Safari Rally, Portugal, Finland, New Zealand and Great Britain rallies cancelled. 3 rallies are still scheduled to take place on their original dates, that is in Turkey, Germany and Japan. Well, on that note, we end our latest update on sports, but football is returning, Premier League is returning. Brace up to support your clubs as I brace up to support mine. I'm not sure what club Smriti supports, but she'll tell us briefly.
Yeah, well, I'm not a huge football fan, but it is Manchester United. All right, before we close the broadcast, we've got some news in for you. And a priest accused of sexually abusing 4 girls at an orphanage he ran will most likely spend the next 16 years in federal prison for his crimes. 61-year-old Gregory Hayes Dow pleaded guilty to 4 counts of engaging in illicit sexual conduct in foreign places during a teleconference with U.S. District Judge Edward Smith, federal prosecutors and federal defenders. Dow assaulted the 4 girls between 2013 and 2017 while running the Dow Family Children's Home in Boito in Bomet County. He was also accused, alongside his wife, of putting the children on family planning so that his actions would not result into pregnancies. His wife was sentenced here in Kenya for 1 year. We'll bring you more details on that story in our subsequent bulletins. That's all we've got for you for now on NTV at 1. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi. Have yourselves a great afternoon and keep safe.